Two characteristics that I think are most prevalent for agile governments are speed and resourcefulness. By speed, I mean they need to be able to sense and respond quickly to rapidly changing environments. I think a good example is storms that are coming across and warning people what's happening, or the terrorist environment where there's nothing predictable what's happening. But it can also be an economic opportunity in terms of alternative energy or other things. If the company marshals its resources very quickly, they can participate in that and help the economic growth of a country. Resourcefulness is about doing more things with the resources you have available. You can't necessarily plan well in advance. So you have to find new situations. You have to be able to rapidly reconfigure your capabilities in order to be able to go doing it. And government typically operates in stovetops, so it's particularly challenging for them to do it. But speed and resourcefulness are what define Agile. There are four steps, I would say, that we ought to work on to become Agile. The first is to clearly define the goal, vision, or objective. I like to use the term mission or mission outcomes. If you have clarity around mission, then you can unite people even from different organizations to work together. It's kind of the gravity or the glue that pulls people together. In our industry here, particularly in federal, where there is a crisis, we tend to be at our best and kind of responding as a kind of combined government industry team. And probably the best example of that is the manned space program in the 60s, where we put a man on the moon, from a dead stop in the early 60s to having someone actually walk on. First the government, then the industry, and then the whole nation came together around that whole process there. So there's a lot of clarity of mission associated with that. The second, which the new era of big data and big insights does, is using the data that's available to you. Governments have treasure troves of structured data saved within agencies, can be shared across agencies, that if you could mine that data, you can get a lot of insights into what's going to be happening. We now add to that all the explosive amounts of unstructured data that's out there in terms of videos and other things. There is a mountain of information that you can bring together to understand how you're being accepted in the marketplace, how you can provide better service to your clients, how you can react and make your operation more effective to doing it. The third is about mining that data. So the good news today is that there are a rapid evolution of tools and capabilities that are commercial off the shelf that lets you take all that data and do something with it to find the insights. You can manage the data, you can pull information from that data, you can sense what's going on the internet, a lot of other things. So being able to take advantage of that. And the fourth characteristic is one of just pure leadership, being able to bring the troops together, inspire them, get them to take advantage of the information that's out there and think about doing the problem solving in a different way. I think for government what's really interesting is traditionally we have done very long procurement cycles where we have a year, maybe even longer, to define requirements, and then a 2 or 3 year procurement process, and then a 2 or 3 year development process before you get to an application which solves a problem you defined maybe 5 years ago. It's much too slow, and by the time you get to the end, the problem has changed and your solution probably doesn't fit what you need to do over time. So what we're able to do now is we're able to start applying these tools that I talked about, the insight tools, and gain information that you can begin improving the operation. You're not going to get the final solution, but you're going to get enough to make operations a little bit improver, and you can iterate over time. And literally in the time that you can normally just gather requirements, you can actually be implementing solutions that are improving your operations. The two best examples I have, one is actual and the other is more theoretical, is the FBI was concerned about a marathon here in town, that there might be some threats to it. They didn't want to stop it, but they wanted to make sure they were doing it. Literally overnight, we were able to pull together feeds from the cameras around the various intersections in town. We were able to put some things out on the Twitter and Facebook to kind of monitor the sentiment and where things were going on. There were people in the race that were able to text some things that were happening. We were able to bring that all together in kind of an integrated operations center. So as something occurred, we could move the cameras to see what was happening. We could see what was going on, and they were able to execute that. Normally that would have taken years of preparation to build that operations center, and we did it overnight. Another example I like to use is one that is a potential thing. We are one of the only countries in the world where when you leave, if you have a visa, you don't go through some sort of a tracking mechanism that says you're leaving the country. If you go to any other country, you have to show your passport so they know when you come in and when you leave. If we want to track, and we're going to be doing a lot of things on immigration, where people are, the traditional approach would be to build gantries, staff it, have a big application that tracks all this stuff. Well, you can literally, with some of these analytics tools, monitor what's going on activity, whether it be credit card, where they're going to school, where they're doing other things. And you could probably, with 85 or 90% precision, figure out where somebody's operating, whether it's in the country or somewhere else in the world, and never have to build that system. It's a great example of being able to use the tools, commercial off the shelf, to build an application which would have taken years and maybe even billions of dollars to build in the past.